On page 2 of your program you received tonight, you'll see the wonderful names of Chris and Kimberly Clark, who have made this video possible. Let's thank them for that. When Cynthia sent me that video last week and said I needed to watch it, I watched it in my study and did what most of you did tonight as I watched that. And I called Cynthia and I said, I feel really sorry for the guy that's got to give a speech after that video. And she said, you're the one. You're the one. So here I am. And some of you have been sitting a while and you've been rubbernecking. Why don't you turn your chair around and stand up and stretch? Just turn your chair around. There you go. I received a phone call on Wednesday. I was in my study on Wednesday and received a phone call, and it was from a strange area code, and I knew to answer it. I picked it up, and there was a low voice on the other line, on the other side of the line. It said, Dad, happy birthday. My Marine son, First Lieutenant Matthew Downers in southern Afghanistan, and his troops just came inside the wire after about 8 days, and they kicked off a chopper, non-alcoholic beer, cigars, and cake. It was a great time. We have some of the finest men and women fighting for us today. I mentioned tonight, and Matthew said, wow, he said, you know, it's such an honor and privilege to serve under the leadership of General Patriots and General Casey. You know, that's the thing about the troops out there. Many levels below, they know the kind of leadership that's being provided to them. And they're thankful for it, and they follow that, and they're doing a great job. Matt said something else about this organization, all of you. He said, Dad, it's a wonder and a joy to know that there are people in Greenwich, Connecticut, who are going to get involved in helping my buddies' children, my buddies who are not going home in one piece, my buddies who will not see their kids again. And he wanted to say thank you. I went through high school about 10 miles from here at Mamaroneck High School. I graduated with barely a C- average. I drank a lot of beer right out here on the pier. I stole a lot of outboard motors. I'm not sure I stole any in Connecticut, so I felt it safe to come back to Connecticut. I chased a lot of girls, drank a lot of beer. I was a lazy, low-character, selfish, sloppy teenager. I got into college with barely a C- average. The college, coincidentally, my father had attended, been student body president. My mother had graduated Phi Beta Kappa. My grandfather taught English there, and a great uncle of mine had given a large sum of money to Ohio University. You got it first, ma'am. That's how I got in. Family pull, that large sucking sound from alumni right into admissions. There I am. And I set out to turn over a new leaf, but very quickly I fell back into the old habit of staying up late at night, drinking beer, and sleeping through my morning classes. And after 2 semesters, I flunked out of the college my father and 20 other relatives had attended. And so there I am. I'm 19 years old. I hate to be told what to do. I hate authority, and I hate to get up early in the morning. So what do you think I did? I joined the United States Marine Corps. Woo! My father said, you what? You did what? And I said, I joined the Marines. He said, I told you not to do that. And he was in the Navy. I told him I after boot camp, I said, Dad, they're going to send me to school. He said, I knew it. They're going to send you to school. You're a smart kid. They're going to train you. Embassy duty, here it comes, working for some senator in Washington. What kind of school? And I said, machine gunner school. They said, ooh. He said, that's not good. And, being a machine gunner, they said we had one of the shortest life expectancies. I'm not sure that's true. But in California, man, we used to walk around and say, boy, we got one of the shortest. It was cool in California. It wasn't cool, though, where I was going. I shipped out to join the 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines in the northern part of I Corps, 1967-68 in Vietnam. I was an infantry machine gunner, and you may know that machine gunners back then had the firepower. And that was the firepower of a rifle company, Army, Marines, whatever, either one. And they were always the target. You want to knock out the machine gunner, and there are 4 positions in a machine gun team. The first guy is the ammo humper, and he carried just hundreds of rounds of ammo with these crossband leaders. He looked like Pancho Villa looking for a fight, And then you had the A gunner, and that was the assistant gunner that took care of the machine gunner. And then the machine gunner, he's the one that carried the M60 in combat. And I'd done all those roles, and I became the machine gun team leader, which means I was in charge of the whole team. And I gave my machine gun to John Atkinson, who had been promoted right behind me. He took over my machine gun. I became the team leader. He had my gun. I was his team leader. And we're going out on what was called Operation Essex in November of 1967. 120 Marines strong, reinforced. We hit the deck, began charging an open rice paddy to hit the enemy for a surprise attack. And much like was described earlier, it was a surprise attack. The problem was it was a surprise on us. They were dug in. They had survived all the pounding of our air power and so forth. And there was just an explosion of small arms fire. And in 60 to 90 seconds, they killed or wounded 25% of Hotel Company's 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines. We were pinned down. We called in airstrikes. Those guys in the air came in, dropped the napalm, and wow. We were ordered to go around the left flank. And by now, I'd been promoted. I told you to become the team leader. John's on a machine gun. We charged across the open area. I charged across the open area, John right behind me, and they ambushed us again with AK-47 fire, just a blaze of fire. I went to hit the deck to get down to return fire, and a bullet went right through the bottom of my pack and came out the top. A weight fell on top of me, and that weight was John Atkinson from Syracuse, New York, and my old machine gun. I realized all those bullets that had been fired, one had gone in my pack. The rest of them had gone to John. He was the target. He was the gunner. And I screamed for a corpsman, grabbed for a pulse, and I knew in an instant that John was dead. And I felt like somebody just ripped the stomach lining out of my stomach. Many of you know exactly the feeling I had. I screamed for the corpsman. The corpsman confirmed that, God bless the Navy corpsman, got up to help us. And he was dead. And one of my best friends, again, was killed right next to me. But the thing that just broke me apart was a recognition that not only was John dead, but he died in my place. I'd been promoted. He had my machine gun. They waited for me to go by. They got John, and John Atkinson from Syracuse, New York, died taking my bullets. And that day, ladies and gentlemen, I became a marked man. And I think everyone here, certainly others that have stood on this stage, have a real recognition that we're standing on the shoulders of other people who have paid a sacrifice for this country, that we can sit here and eat steak in freedom. And I think we all have a sense of that. I came home, got married. I left the war, and I took the war within with me. Very quickly destroyed that marriage. And through a series of events, that marriage was restored, and we now have 6 children. My wife forgave me. One of the greatest things you can do for a veteran, for a man or woman returning from war, one of the greatest things you can do for a man or woman returning from war is to forgive him. Forgive them for how sometimes they go astray and how they sometimes give you the military answer when what you want is a hug. When they break your heart instead of hug, you're hurt. Well, she forgave me. And over the course of years, I looked for John Atkinson's family. I finally found him. This story was on the radio. I always mention John Atkinson's name. And a woman called and said, hello, this is Johnny Lynn Atkinson, and that's my dad you're talking about, and I went to find that family. The family had blown up. The oldest son was dead. All the other kids went sideways. The next youngest son went off to prison for murder. Mom and dad split. The family was in concussion. They didn't have Cynthia calling. I've talked to Kinsey. I've talked to some of the others about, see, this is not a ministry. This is not an organization. It's simply about money and education. That's great, but they've got heart. They send their heart along with the finances and resources. It's a worthy organization. And my friend John Atkinson's family didn't have that. His little girl would have loved to have gone to college. His wife would have loved to have had a Cynthia call and care. And there just wasn't anybody there. John Atkinson was a terrific man, a fine man. I met his mother and shared with her all the things I'm sharing with you. And she said two things I'll never forget. She said, you know, Mr. Downer, I'm glad that my son, Johnny, died in the arms of someone who loved him, and I loved him. And then she said this. She said, Mr. Downer, you must be a mighty fine man for God to have taken my Johnny so you could live. Ladies and gentlemen, the finest we have are over there. And they're fighting for us tonight, men and women, in harm's way, and you know that. And this is a great opportunity for us to show we care. I'm thankful you're here because you care. This would be a great night for us to join together and really demonstrate in a positive way how we care. As my son Matt said, it's exciting to know there are people in a room who are going to take care of my buddies' kids, my buddies who are not coming home. Thank you for being here.